Crypto Spiritual Energy Update. My name is Yona Brindis. I'm an energy healer and energy coach and a professional energy trainer. So even if you don't know what this means, basically what I'm doing here is translating collective energies that empathetic and energetically sensitive people perceive sort of precognitively. A skill that we all have really, but that needs to be trained so that we can contextualize it correctly. And I translate this into the cryptocurrency sphere. So basically what this does is it helps us to judge the market sentiment, okay? The cryptocurrency market is a highly emotional, highly sort of grassroots market, and has therefore all traits of collective human dynamics. Okay, this is the reason why I'm actually interested in this, besides my own enthusiasm for cryptocurrencies, and of course I haven't observed the market for quite a while now. I've been doing these updates for over a year and a half, and we have developed a crypto integrity rating for the conscious investor that I will introduce here with a bunch of tokens, influencers and exchanges and so forth that we've tested this week. A full list of these is not available yet, but on the YouTube channel here you can see the different tokens that we have been testing here for the last 9 months. This is highly experimental and not financial advice, but the accuracy really of this measuring of the sentiment and how this translates into the cryptosphere has been pretty accurate. So what you see here on the screen is the energy barometer for this next week, July 27th till August 2nd. And as announced in the last couple of weeks, there is a turnaround energy here. We could see this. The prices have gone from like sluggish and barely moving over the last 6 months into a highly active and more optimistic, more positive kind of sentiment. But there are a few aspects to this that I would like to illuminate with you here today, namely the effect of news onto the sentiment, and also, of course, what that does to us as individual investors, and how this then plays out in the dynamics in the cryptocurrency market. So the dynamics are really new. We're all observing. There's no true predictions possible. And even though we use energy work and remote viewing to get to these integrity ratings, it has nothing to do with fortune telling. All right, so this is actually a trained process that people can learn here. We have integrity testing courses, and we offer this to businesses, to match up people with their teams, or for individuals to match up with an employee, or to discern whether a contract or a product idea is integrous, is trustworthy. So the objective here of the crypto spiritual energy update is not to give you another prediction. It's to reflect on something that real people in real sessions throughout roughly like 150 people here at transCODES participate in this due to just working on their own energies, and that then gives us a picture of where these energies are going. All right, so let's reflect on the market here just real quick. There's a few news, a few things that should be observed here from the crypto spiritual point of view, and that is the optimism that we've been seeing here last week has not played out as well as we had hoped. So there's a red and green, and even though there's an influx of a clear influx of market cap noticeable, but there's still this fickleness that I mentioned last week, and this will continue, guys. So I don't really expect a major shift, like where it's like super clear where this is going, or what people would call like a bull run, to happen until the the end of August, the third week of August. However, let's stay open, let's watch at things. So if you look at CoinMarketCap.com, you can see the Bitcoin dominance has increased 47, 46%. And this has to do with the dynamic. So whenever the overall sentiment about cryptocurrencies increases, the trust increases in cryptocurrencies, and this attracts also more institutional investors. And when this happens, they primarily go into Bitcoin, into the mothership of crypto, so to speak. Whether we think that Bitcoin is as a currency sort of the most how can I say, promising currency per se that we will all be using, say, in 10 years or not. It is, of course, the basic invention of cryptocurrency, of the cryptocurrency idea, and therefore it has the strongest pull, marketing-wise. So when people think of, normal people out there, again, remember, we're not even in an early adopter phase, but when normal people out there think of cryptocurrency, they think of Bitcoin. So the first step will always go into Bitcoin. When you see an increase in Bitcoin dominance, then you know that you have an influx of money coming in from people that are not really sort of familiar yet with all the different kinds of startups and cool projects that are there. All right, so this is just something that that you should keep in the back of your mind. It gives you a bit more information about the quality of investor that's in. Not quality as in good or bad, but who is coming in, where is the money coming from. The other thing is that whenever we see this strong influx into Bitcoin, whenever there's fluctuations, we see an increase, of course, in all those hedging type of tokens, such as Tether, but also I've noticed lately that we see a strong increase in all the exchange tokens. So Binance, KuCoin, Huobi, Buybox, I don't even know them all anymore. Whenever there's a little bit of insecurity there, when people are not sure yet if they should go into altcoins or if they should wait for a temporary dip to be over with, then they tend to go into these intermediary type of currencies or tokens. All right, so watch this the next couple of days, how this plays out, because there's a lot of stuff going on here right now in the news that creates this insecurity again, the FUD, okay, the fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And I'll talk about this here in a second, but I want to come back to the dynamics very quick. Because usually after the money flows in through, say the main hub, which is Bitcoin, we'll see altcoins being pumped, and then as soon as the insecurity comes in, again we see the altcoins being dumped. So pump and dump, we talked about this last week, is a typical phenomenon in times where the trust in Bitcoin or the cryptocurrency sphere altogether is unclear, where there's uncertainty. And if we look at sort of how media, or how this translates in media, then we clearly see that this entire sphere has been suffering a lot from this. So a lot of us have been taunted, have been like, oh, how could you, this is a huge big bubble. And it's getting old for us. So those of us who have been around here for a while, at least since, like, say, the end of last year, we already understand that there is a lot of resistance coming in from the old paradigm, from the old system, and especially sort of the financial systems. Now this is slowly shifting here. So the last 3 months, I'd say, we've seen a shift in attitude towards cryptocurrencies as potential platforms to hedge the stock market, maybe, or traditional financial assets and securities going down. And so the FUD news, when you hear this meme, this crypto meme FUD, it doesn't just say that it's negative news. It can also be positive news. Basically what it says is that there's a speculation on, you know, something that may happen in the future based on a certain announcement or press release, or right now everybody's looking at the SEC, the Securities Regulation Agency here in the United States, which will be way showing for how this whole sort of legal treatment of the cryptocurrency sphere will be handled in the future. And there is, as we've talked about the last 2 weeks, there is this new spark of hope coming up, because ETFs are sort of pushed right now into becoming possible with Bitcoin. And what this means is that people can buy basically these it's kind of like investment funds, you know, where you are buying the fund, but you're not buying the cryptocurrency itself. And oftentimes when financial institutions offer this, they offer like a whole mixture, you know, say the top 10 of all the cryptocurrencies, or certain market segments and so forth. So the speculation on ETFs being approved by the SEC has led to this like spark, you know, has led to this FUD. Okay, so if you look at the word FUD, or the meme FUD, in a more neutral way, it's more like an attempt to manipulate your emotions. And you know, because it's a sentiment-driven type of movement, all right, you'll see this, you know, that suddenly all the publications or the influencers sort of jump on one thing, you know, they kind of claw onto this one news, you know, either in a positive or in a negative way. So when triggered through FUD, positive or negative FUD, stay aware, you know, and my tip is for you to observe others' reaction instead. Okay, so you don't have to go into the you know, into the FOMO, which is another meme, you know, the fear of missing out, because in the past, not just in the cryptocurrency sphere, but in the human collective altogether, you know, nothing gets really eaten as hot as it gets cooked. This is a German saying. All right, so just that said, you know, we are seeing, you know, current news from today that the application for ETFs from the Winkelvoss brothers has been rejected. There is a petition going on. There's, you know, there's a whole big process, you know, that will take, some say until maybe the beginning, mid of August. Some say it may take till January or February. You see, there's too much uncertainty there, and therefore, you know, any type of rise or fall based on those kind of FUDs is kind of, it's speculation, you know, and you don't want to get caught into this. It would be really good for the cryptocurrency sphere if ETFs were approved, because it would also, you know, shed more light and bring in more clarity for, you know, the whole question whether currencies, the cryptocurrencies are securities or whether they are currencies, and how they need to be handled. But as of right now, you know, and you saw this today, you know, with the rejection of the Winkelvoss petition to review their initial reaction, the markets went into red, and watch where the money went. It didn't go out right away. A little bit, maybe 1 or 2 million went, a billion went out, but most of them went into these intermediary currencies. So people are still on hold here, all right? So just in regards to the dynamics. We talked about chasing listings last week and the week before that, and I wanted to make an example of something that happened here this week with HOLO. So Binance was announcing that they're going to list HOLO. There was a huge speculative wave, you know, people running into HOLO based on the dynamics that, you know, once they listed on Binance, they're going to go up, and they did for a few minutes, and then they fell. So a lot of people lost money. So remember, I said this last week, you know, don't chasing listings, you know, if you're a day trader, fine. If you have the tools and if you have the ability to partake in this sort of 5-second raise, you know, then good for you. But for most people, for us here, normal investors, that's not something that we can, you know, survive. You know, we get too nervous, and it doesn't always work out. Another news: salt lending, one of the cryptocurrencies or crypto tokens that we've tested, has had a lot of news or speculation, a lot of rumors, a lot of like emotional, a lot of sentiment around it. So today we decided, actually last night we decided to do a last-minute retest on salt. So this is very interesting because those kind of situations give us the feedback that we need for our crypto integrity rating, if this is even sound, if this even works. More news here from Coinbase, which I personally think very, very interesting. Coinbase has now launched gift cards, cryptocurrency gift cards in Europe and Australia. This is really cool. I think, guys, this will be really big because once the early adoption phase comes in, you know, a lot of people don't really want to be told what to buy. And frankly, you know, as a family member, as a friend, you don't really want to be responsible for their investments, but you want to get them in, you know. And I think personally this was a super, super smart move from Coinbase. I hope other exchanges that are a bit more integrous than Coinbase will follow this example. It had to do with their custody agreement, so they can do this legally. Not everybody can yet, but I'm very, very enthusiastic about this, and looking forward to buying gift cards myself. Maybe not necessarily from Coinbase, but if nobody else can offer them, then I'll do that. Another last news, just sort of like what I picked up from other influencers. Superman is one of my favorite crypto YouTubers, and he came up with the recommendation for CarVertical last year. CarVertical hasn't done that well, you know, as an ICO, but they've done some really cool work. It's about putting the data for your car, for your vehicle, on the blockchain so that it's, you know, accessible for everybody. And I think this is exactly where this needs to go. It's a beautiful example for a very practical application of blockchain technology. Okay, and they've done signed a contract, a cooperation contract with Volkswagen, which will be really cool. They're launching here August 7th, and I think they're rebranding as well. So I will keep an eye on CarVertical. Thanks, Superman, for this wonderful tip. Another news, you know, just on the sideline here, the SIX, the Swiss exchange, will be offering cryptocurrencies. So there's a lot of FUD there. But for next week, guys, please, you know, beware of this. Beware of FOMO, you know, the fear of missing out, you know, and instead, if you are new to the cryptocurrency market, you know, do your research and feel things out. As an energetically sensitive, it's actually proven, you know, or not proven, but research has shown that people who can link into their intellectual or analytical part of the brain and their intuition at the same time, that they do better. Okay, so look at this as a future, as an investment into a future opportunity. Okay, there's no question, absolutely no doubt, that in 5 years from now, you know, blockchain will be you know, part of this fourth industrial revolution. Not everyone is as enthusiastic as I am, and I'm still planning on a 100K, at least 50K Bitcoin party by the end of the year. And if this doesn't work out, I'm still going to make a party, and then we're just going to sort of lick our wounds together and still have fun. All right, so let's move on to the integrity testing here now, and this will be interesting to those of you who are completely new to this. Let me just pull up, you know, what we are testing here. Okay, so we are not testing any of the charts or price movements or anything like that. When we do crypto integrity testing, you know, which the categories that we currently have here, you see them on your screen, are ICOs, altcoins. You know, I use the word token, for all kinds of coins. So you know, don't get technical there with me, but for me that's a better way to call it, because not all tokens are currencies, not all tokens are coins. Anyway, exchanges, wallets, mining and investment pools, DApps, you know. So I mean, a lot of exchanges, a lot of wallets are DApps, decentralized apps, but I want to pick out some, and for now, you know, I've only been going by your guys' recommendations, you know. So they're mostly fun apps, you know, and influencers, which we previously called personalities or crypto celebrities. I changed this into crypto influencers, a bit more neutral. And so we test the integrity level, you know, in how far, you know, these institutions, these people, you know, and how far they are aligned to the decentralized open source, you know, cutting out the middleman type of spirit. So I call this the crypto spirit, so to speak, okay? It has nothing to do with, you know, their charts, their prices, or even, you know, sort of whether or not they are way showing in their segment. However, when we do integrity ratings, and I'm showing you the scale here, okay? So what is, you know, what are some of the numeric values that we come up with, and what do they mean? You know, it can give us information over whether a company or an investment or idea is trustworthy, whether it's based on truth. And we're looking for a value of at least 200, okay? You know, if it's 199, you know, this is a minute difference, but you know, we're looking at 200 and up, and anything 200 or below is typically showing you that it's aligned to the old paradigm, okay? The old paradigm of making business, the old paradigm of handling data, and so forth. So it's not based on this decentralized open source idea, which doesn't make it, you know, bad. It just makes it, you know, perhaps not one of those companies that we are trying to find, you know, that are really visionary and way showing for, you know, this this entire sort of new collective phenomenon, okay? Now, if it does go below 180, I would say, okay, we're seeing it's based on greed, it's based perhaps even on ripping off. I mean, those are things that are a part of capitalism, you know, self-gain, and that's why the old paradigm doesn't really calibrate above truth, okay? When it goes, you know, when it comes close to the 150 area and below, you know, then this can inform us that we're actually dealing with a scam here, that we're actually dealing with something that is not trustworthy. So anything below 200 is, you know, questionable. From a crypto spirit point of view, I would call it as, I would call it integrous when it calibrates above, you know, 200 and above. Now, in the past, we've seen a lot of very cool surprises here. So, and this leads me to, you know, how we test and what kind of techniques or modalities we use. So we have different testers here, and I would like to do a big shout out here to our testers at transCODES and Crypto Spiritual. Thank you, Boris. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Gasha, Patricia, Sebastian, you know, and some others who are helping to create these test results every week. It's a lot of extra work, guys, and the analysis of that is, you know, is not easy, but it's fun too, because it's highly experimental. Today we've decided to do a sort of a round mix of tokens that we test. We started with Bitcoin. You know, occasionally we do sort of the big four, the big five, just to get a little bit of a benchmark here, okay? And the Bitcoin results, the integrity rating does not surprise. The token itself, the investment itself, calibrates at 200. That means it's based on truth. The people, not 199. That's relatively high, guys, for a project that is open source. Okay, that I don't think we've seen that high of an decentralized open source team. It also gives us a little bit of an idea of who these people or the person is that are behind the Bitcoin white paper. You know, the sort of the mother of all cryptocurrencies here. So with 199, that's really high, and you could call this toothpaste integrous, and so is the technology. So with an overall rating of 199, the conclusion here, based on the calibration, the integrity calibration, is that it's a truth-based project. It's the mother of all cryptos, obviously, and that it's integrous people. That there are improvements possible and possibly also needed. So there's in the readings that we did, there is always extra information that comes in, that there's something missing still. And at this point, I also want to point out that most of the testers don't even know what they're testing. So for the most part, it's blind testing. And even when I do the reveal of which token they've tested, because they often want to retest at that point, then you know, it doesn't mean that they go into look on their website or anything like this. So I want you to know that these things, these testings that we do here, have nothing to do with sort of intellectual analysis. Okay, you don't need to know what a company does to do integrity testing on them. This information that is available through the field of consciousness and not paper or the internet. Okay, so divine Wi-Fi. Okay, that's where the spirit stuff comes in. Next is a recommendation from you guys. Mainframe MFT did well here for a few weeks, and the testing revealed the following things. So as an investment with 196, that's okay. Okay, that's okay. It says that there is a chance, you know, that you could lose something, but it primarily, you know, it's you know, it will be okay. People, the team behind it, feels you know, okay with 194. It's actually not that bad. Okay, we've seen much worse in much, you know, greater projects, but you know, that's pretty sound. The technology though seems a bit low, you know, and the further analysis, you know, reading showed that that it feels a bit like a Me Too project. Okay, so a Mainframe is a decentralized message routing application. Okay, so it's like it allows people or companies to build their private networks and transfer, you know, you can transfer money, but you can transfer data, you can keep data, kind of, you know, sort of like a mixture of Telegram and Google Drive, if I understand this right. So it's actually a really good idea. But the technology in the white paper do not calibrate that high. With 188, that's a bit low. So it feels a bit like a Me Too project, guys. I don't know how else to say this. It's aligned to old paradigm energies. I would have liked to see this higher, so I was a little bit disappointed by the results here. With 193, it's just okay. Okay. Interestingly, though, the token will do better than the technology. So let's wait and do retests at a later time. You know, this you know, can show us or inform us about some things that weren't in place yet. Which reminds me, let's look at SALT, and I'll first bring up the original testing that we did here in May. So SALT is a lending firm. It's a very cool idea. They use cryptocurrencies as collateral. You know, it was one of the first ones last year that were, you know, sort of trying to make this bridge between banks and cryptocurrencies. A really cool idea with using the SALT token, you know, as sort of an exchange of assets and also repaying your loan. So you can literally get a loan and use your cryptocurrency portfolio as a collateral, and you use the SALT token as intermediary. So the original testing was that it's integrous people. It's a great idea, a good long-term vision, interesting overlay of success for the next 2 to 5 years. So here, this is cool feedback for me because we got some interesting readings there. So with 199, it's it's a good project. The token was so 196 is below truth, so means that it may still go through something. But what struck me back then was that the team had a very high conscious level compared to most other teams. Now, with the news that there's perhaps an exit scam going on, that the CEO has left the company, and that there's there's commotion going on right now. Okay, there's stuff going on that is very disconcerting, but at the same time, the company has chosen to go a step forward and announce that there'll be a lot of cool changes. And so, besides the rumors, that taking it on, they have an intermediary CEO right now, their CTO, I think it is, and we'll see who they attract. But a retesting showed something that I really like to see. Okay, not because there wasn't really any, so there wasn't any drastic shift here. The overall rating of 199 is maintained, which is cool because we didn't know this when we did the retest. So the retest showed that SALT is still integrous. Okay, so there's stuff going on, yes, but at the same time, they're also doing something about this, which shows how an integrous team, how integrous people, how an integrous leadership in a company can play out. So this is the interesting thing here. Why do we even test these kind of things? And this is exactly why, guys. Because when you have an integrous team, okay, and there is something is happening, okay, and they have to make decisions or they have to let go of somebody, an integrous team will make the right choices. It will make choices that are truth-based, that are integrous. Okay, so there's an overlay in the team right now that is based on fear, understandably so. So there's a little bit of uncertainty, and it dropped the conscious level of the team to 192. But interestingly, the integrity level of the token went up from 196 to 199, and the technology, the overall project and what's behind it. So I'm assuming that these shifts and maybe problems that they had to do with technological updates or new directions has also increased. So whatever it is that they decided to do has maintained their integrity. It has increased the integrity for the token itself, for your investment, and it has improved the project. Okay, so besides the overlay that the team experiences through the uncertainty right now, the tech is trustworthy here, and the improvements will do better for the token. So I'm glad actually we have this kind of integrity testing, because this kind of information, you would not get that through just looking at the news or the rumors or the reactions from other people. So it's very cool that we have that. You can, of course, draw your own conclusions. I, for myself, still hold my SALT tokens. They've lost a lot of value over the last 6 months, but I'm sticking with them. I'm hodling. All right, next up is Nano. Okay, so Nano is one of the first sort of alternative currencies that came forward. Okay, zero fees, infinitely scalable, very fast, instant transactions. So Nano is up there with Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin as a future currency. The integrity rating, though, was a bit disappointing. So the token calibrates at 198. That's okay. That's almost trustworthy. The people in the team with 188, that's almost like an average. With teams where you have a lot of come and go, and here you have this particularly here in Nano. At least that's what the data revealed that we tested. There's also security issues, which is interesting for the team, not the token, the team. The technology with 184, is greed-based, is based on the old paradigm, making money, so it's all right, it's not bad, but it's old paradigm. So as far as the crypto spirit is concerned, a total rating of 190, is, it's okay, but it's kind of like a bank, as well. So it's not visionary in that sense, or bay showing, or maybe like, wow, the next, Apple, or the next Facebook. Speaking of Facebook, had a very bad day in their history today. They've lost anywhere from like 24 to 19% of their stock value today as a result of the earnings reports. And those were part, of course, of this scandal, the privacy scandal that Facebook went through. Guys, this is only the beginning, okay? Prepare yourself for stuff like that. There's also rumors now of insider trading and so forth. Facebook is not an integrous company, okay? It doesn't mean it's a bad company, bad people. I'm not judging anybody, but as an integrity, as a company, with a conscious level, right around 175, that's the kind of stuff that happens, okay? Scandals and insider shit and, stuff like that. So sorry to say that. So while we're at it here, let's look at OmiseGO. OmiseGO is a decentralized app, so it's a really, a DApp, a very original, natural DApp. It's a scaling solution for financial networks. So it's supposed to be basically the, provide the infrastructure, the platform for all the payment processes, the thing that we've been waiting for so long. And the token itself tested with 204, relatively high. That's nice. To see that the people in the team 195, like we said before, that's all right. And the technology with 194 gave it a total rating of 198. So it's almost 200, guys. It's a truth-based project. Your investment is trustworthy, is safe there. Needs updates. That's some of the data that got revealed here during the integrity testing. But the team is very sound, very stable, very cool team, guys. Good job. And I'm pretty sure that based on those numbers, we're going to see more from OmiseGO, more collaborations, more, it may be one of those companies or tokens that people don't realize that they're in the background, okay? But it has really good, it has a good structure and good sort of values, in terms of like integrity, to it. So, yeah, thumbs up for OmiseGO. Then we've tested a DApp. It's a bit of a fun app, something that got recommended by you guys, and this reminds me actually of the important shout out that I do here every week. We need your guys' inspiration. Tell us what you want us to test, okay? We put this on a list and we will test it and then publish here. All right, so all these coins were recommendations from you. Please do this here in the description, and let us test what you are most interested in. I'm picking up on you know, sort of sentiments around certain companies, and then I add them if I don't have enough suggestions. But we can do like 6, 7, 8 testings here per week. So let us know. Yes, and even though the crypto spiritual update, like the collective energy update, is live, I missed the train today. We had lots of tech problems here. It was one of those chaotic days, and so I'm not seeing anybody right now. This could also be a problem here with the internet. But anyway, let's look at the Dapp integrity rating. So PEEPETH is kind of like an alternative to Twitter. It's a decentralized messaging system. It's a very cool project. I'm using it. It has sound tech, and you know, but there's something missing there. The direction is kind of missing. Their own identity is kind of missing. So the rating, you know, is okay, but just okay. So the software function with 192 sound is stable. You know, could be better. Organization or people behind it with 194, that's good. You know, that's what you want to see. And the use case, you know, like the you know, what this actually is bringing to us with 196, you know, pretty good. It's a sound project with 194, but it's missing a little bit of its own identity, especially in regards to Dapps, guys. Let us know what you want us to test. There's of course crossovers, just like how we have this with wallets and exchanges, and theoretically, you know, something like Fork Delta, you know, is an exchange, but also DApp. So you know, there's crossovers here. So we will try to put them into the category that that is most interesting for you. As far as testing exchanges, we picked Gemini here this week, one of the first big cryptocurrency exchanges, and my kudos, you know, to the Winkelvoss brothers, who were the founders of Gemini. You know, very way showing back then. You know, the exchange, the safety is 192. That's, you know, like a bank, and you know, the organization itself with 186. The total of integrity rating with 189. I hate to say it, it's old paradigm. It's like a bank, you know, stable but old paradigm based exchange. Very good intentions, but using traditional ways. You know, and we already know what that does. So within, you know, we're comparing with the other exchanges that we've tested in the past. That's not a bad rating, but it's also not like sort of, you know, wiping me off the floor here. Okay. Influencer, crypto influencer rating, and this is you know, something you know, that must not be confused with judging a person. Okay, this has nothing to do with judgment. Okay, we're looking at a person's integrity levels, at a person's consciousness level. And there is also, of course, especially when you are testing younger people, there's a potential, you know, that they make huge quantum leaps in their conscious development throughout their lifetime. Okay, so I don't want you guys to see this as good guy, bad guy type of thing. Okay, we've decided to test the Winkelvoss twins here this week. They were, you know, one of the pull horses in the beginning, you know, when there was barely anybody speaking for Bitcoin. And, you know, they're athletes, you know, they're doing the right thing. They're very integrous, and they know how the system works. So, because they're twins, which I thought was interesting because I never tested twins before, of course we had to look at them separately. You know, so we're looking at Tyler Winkelvoss here first. You know, his person's conscious level was 200, trustworthy, integrous. He's an honest, integrous person. He's success-based though, and as an athlete, I understand that. And maybe too much in the future there with his energies. So I can't wait to see, you know, what Tyler and Cameron, what they will come up with in the future. Because if you look at Cameron, Cameron has a slightly higher conscious level than his brother. Again, guys, this is not good or bad. All right. He is also very honest and integrous. His intentions are really good. His alignment is a bit more in the direction of what is good for all. So he knows how to succeed in your paradigm. But he isn't really a visionary per se. So if, you know, they come together with the right people, you know, with sort of crazy, ingenious visionaries, you know, and recognize that the new paradigm requires new energies. It requires this new way of thinking. And if they can merge that, you know, these the two business people can be extremely successful in the future. And I will keep a close eye on all their endeavors. Right now, today was a bad day for them, you know, but they are also, you know, sort of holding the banner here for all of us, and they're doing a fight that, you know, these smaller companies and startups couldn't do. You know, they're going the traditional route. You know, they're the you know, sort of the front row of fighting the old system. So my kudos to Cameron and Tyler. Thank you guys, you know, for what you do for the crypto currency sphere. All right, everybody. I hope that this was informative for you, that you've learned something. Please push the like button. Please comment, and please ask us what you want to be tested. Next week's energies. Be careful. Bud is on the way. And I wish you a wonderful week, and hope to see you next week at the same time, hopefully on time this time. All right. Bye, guys.